Welcome to Situationship Podcast, where we talk all things money, health, career, and relationships. I am Rachel.
And this is Derrick.
Welcome to Episode 1.
Episode 1.
Of Situationship Podcast. Hey.
All right. You said that was corny. We weren't going to do that. But you did it anyway.
I did, and you're right.
So what do we have on the plate today?
All right. So today we are talking about situationships. What is that exactly?
Okay, so the situationship is a term that we use in the African American community. It really means when you're in a relationship with someone and you kind of don't know what the actual title is. So you kind of say like, well, instead of us being in a relationship, we're kind of in a situationship. Like our situation is I like you or he likes me, and we don't actually have a actual title. We just kind of just go with the flow. This podcast is actually more about love and marriage and things that we go through as married people, as single people. So there's a lot of situations that come up and we have to deal with those things. So that's why we call it situationship. So it's a play on of the actual situationship term that's floating in the African American community right now.
Right. And we can have situations with money. When your money is funny, that's considered a situation.
Yep.
When your health isn't acting right, or even when it's going well, that's considered a situation. When your career, maybe you're not too happy with the career you have, or you want to change it up, or everything's going good, that can still be a situation. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, with your relationships, whether it's marriage, dating, children, friends, family, different type of things can come up, situations in that perspective as well. So we thought situationship would be a great fit for all of those different aspects of life.
Exactly.
All right. So we are not in a situationship.
No.
We are actually a married couple. 5 years.
5 years.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Love you.
I love you too.
And so how did we meet? I think that is something that we should put on the table.
So there's always three sides of a story: my side, her side, and the truth. There's actually only two.
Or there is the husband side, the wife side, which is the truth.
No, my side, which is the truth.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll let you go.
So do I start or you start?
You can go ahead and start with your.
Okay, with the truth.
Okay.
Okay, so how we met, I was working in a rec center, and I was over a program for middle school age children, and I remember she had on pink tights, and she's an athlete, so she had that bow-legged walk, and to me that's very, very attractive. I really, really loved that, and from that day I was like, I've got to get her. So that was
from a creepy perspective. Got it.
Yeah. Not from a creepy perspective. It was, I wanted her. I was actually just intrigued by her and infatuated with her look. She was very beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. That was probably about September of 2013. And it took all the way until April 1st of 2014 for me to actually ask for her number. So how I actually got her number was, and actually built up the confidence to speak to her, was I was tasked by the manager of the center to have more activities for our students that were in the program. Being that Rachel was a fitness guru, I guess, they asked me to ask her to kind of help me with the thing. So I asked her to help me with the program, and she came up with some good ideas, and we were to meet every Monday. So that's how we kind of got acquainted. We just kind of started talking that way. Like I said, April 1st was the first day I got her number, and I thought it was a joke because it was April 1st, April Fool's Day. So I'll never forget the day she gave me her number, and then I actually called it right then on the spot because I wanted to make sure it was the right number and she wasn't actually playing a joke on me on that day. Now that I know her, she probably would have did something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So here's the meat of the story. So, I would just kind of just start out light conversation, just trying to get to know her. And
or getting acquainted with yourself, because you always show up and come back there and have to show off what he was wearing and wipe his clothes off and brush himself off and get this off his clothes. And it was just like, oh,
Well, you're talking about one instance when I came in there.
Every single day. What are you doing back here?
Well, I had on a shirt, and it was one of those days where you put your shirt on after you put your deodorant on. So I had deodorant marks on the bottom of my shirt.
It was an everyday occurrence.
No, it was not an everyday occurrence. But anyway, apparently she didn't start liking me until I brought in some lamb. It just so happened, well, you should tell that part of the story.
Well, this is how God works, because that whole entire week that I was at work, I was literally asking the people who were coming in to the fitness center, have they ever tried lamb? Like some of the individuals who, I've had friendships with. Have you ever tried? I had never tried lamb up to that point. And for some reason, I will always watch the reality show, like the kitchen show with the guy who always yelled at people. They will always cook lamb and it always just looked so good. And in my mind, knowing I only made a little bit of money at that point, I thought that for some reason lamb would be expensive. So I never went to a restaurant and asked for lamb.
It is though.
Yeah, but I just never did, And so I was literally having conversations with people like, have you ever tried lamb? Like that week I was curious about lamb. And so when Derrick came in that week, I think I might have asked you, had you tried lamb?
I think he did.
And
that's what prompted me to bring some in.
Yeah, so he happened to cook some at home, and then he brought it in, and he cut it with a plastic knife. And that was just like, oh my God, it's so tender, and it was seasoned so good. And I ended up eating it, and he tried to actually feed it to me as if I knew him like that. And I just took the fork and I was like, nah, bro. I mean, I ended up eating it, and it was just like, oh my God, to die for. It was so good. He's a great cook. That's when I knew he was a great cook. But I recall having braids in my hair for some reason.
Yeah, I think you did have braids in your hair at one point. But when I saw you the first time, you had your hair out. And it was straightened.
Oh, okay.
And I like that look.
Yeah. So we ended up hanging out in the gym. We were supposed to been, having the kids play different things in the gym, having them doing fitness. And we ended up playing basketball together and volleyball together. Mm-hmm. And that's what piqued my interest, because we were both into fitness and sports. And that's when it became, okay, I think I like this kid. This kid seems all right.
Yeah. Now, did you like me? I'm going to ask this question. Did you actually like me when you first started talking to me?
Before the games, playing the games?
Before the games, when we first started talking?
No, I couldn't stand you. Like I would drive.
And why couldn't you stand me?
Because I just had this preconceived notion without knowing you, which was wrong on my end, of thinking that you were this stuck-up guy because you would drive up with your BMW and then show up with all these name labels on, and it was like, oh my God. And he would show up in the back and have to show off the stuff he got on and clean it off and brush himself off, and it was just annoying to me.
Well, I was always told that if you look good and you smell good, somebody gonna like you. So I was just hoping that maybe you would like me if I looked good and smelled good.
You was on a whole nother level. It was just, you just had this thing about you that was just like, check me out type of ordeal. Maybe someone would call it confidence. I called it being cocky. I don't know. That's just how it came off to me.
No, I just wanted to look good and smell good.
Okay, well.
And hopefully you would like me.
Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't until, we started playing sports. But then, I did give him my number. He said, maybe we can go to Busch Gardens. And my mind was kind of like, it's kind of early for that. But okay, yeah, sure. And I did give him my number. And what he did, though, from his perspective, I was starting to ignore him.
Yes.
Or kind of, not give him the time of day.
So that's when my interest started to decline. So I was all gung-ho for you at the beginning. When I got your number, I was excited. I had to do one of those air kicks. Air heel clicks. Time when people jump up and click their heels. Kind of did that on the way out that day. And so I was excited. So, I would start texting her, sending text messages. Hey, how you doing? Just thinking about you. Want to hang out with you. And she would always lead me on like, yeah, we're going to hang out. And then when it was time to hang out, she would never be around. So, after doing that 3 or 4 times, I kind of just said, screw it. So, I kind of pulled back from the communication. And then I guess it wasn't until she asked me to go somewhere. What was it?
Mm-hmm. Well, if we backtrack, I just want to make it known that the reason why I wasn't communicating with you about the fact that you kept asking me to, one, come hang out with me at my house, which I wasn't going to do. And then two,
I recall that once.
Yeah, but then you did invite me a couple of other places. You invited me out one night to go hang out with you and some friends at like a beach house or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a single parent.
Well, no, that was actually hang out after I left the beach house.
Yeah, so it was like late at night. I was a single parent at the time. And, now that we have kids, 3 now, we know at a drop of a dime, it's hard to just, pass your child off to whoever is available and just show up.
But we had made plans prior to.
Yeah, we did, and I didn't with the babysitting.
Right.
Or so I thought I did. The babysitter I had was kind of...
Now the truth comes out.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't really communicate that with him. But because I did have an interest in him, what I did is I took initiative to say, well, hey, meet me, after work, like 12 o'clock while my child is in daycare, and meet me at a park, or meet me at one time we went to a Mexican restaurant, so I made it work where it worked on both of our schedules. It wasn't late at night. It wasn't come out and find a babysitter. It was when my child was in daycare, I was readily available to come and hang out with him because I was interested.
Yeah.
I was curious to find out, because we had the same interests. We both went to HBCU.
The Norfolk State University.
Yes, and we both were interested in sports. I ran track. He did track. He did football. And so we had a lot of things in common. So I was interested in, figuring out, where things would go between us two. And so we started hanging out and doing fitness together and hanging out in different places. So we had to kind of think outside the box in regards to the time that I actually had.
Yeah, and that night of the beach house, you didn't come hang out with me. I stayed at that beach house, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have fun here. And, I'm just going to live life because, Rachel is not really that into me. So I can catch a hint. I would think I was done until she asked me to come to hang out with her actually at the park. And that was the day that I realized, oh, I really do like this girl. And that I really, really wanted to pursue her.
Yeah. And then we would hang out at festivals and we had a good time. We had a lot of things in common that we liked. And so fast forward, we ended up getting married, dating and then getting married and moving to a different state.
Yeah, we got married pretty quickly.
Yeah, we did. But it worked out, though.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
It worked out. And so now here we are. We have 3 children and we're happily married. And we have different situations that we've been in with money, health, careers, and our relationships that we feel that we have, quite a bit of experience to be able to share with our audience in the world, to kind of help and guide you guys on our journey and help you along on your journeys as well.
Yeah, because life really came at us very, very fast when we first got married. I mean, if you can recall the first night that we were home together after getting married, my wife took a pregnancy test and she was pregnant according to the test. Mm-hmm. And I think that same night there was a guy going through the parking lot of our complex, pulling door handles.
What were we even doing up that late at night? It was like super early. Like, what was going on?
Well, I think some consummating was going on.
Oh God, please.
Well, and that's why we were up late. I mean, it was the night after,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was our marriage night.
Okay.
So
yeah, so the guy was going through the cars in the parking lot.
Yeah, so he was going through the cars in the parking lot. Now, this is a funny story because let me start from this. Let me start here. So we were up, and all of a sudden we heard a noise. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. We heard a noise.
Real random.
And I was like, what was that? It's a loud noise. And I swear there was nobody living under us. There was nobody outside the door. There was no one on the balcony, but it literally sounded like it came from downstairs or in the house, close by.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me get up and go look around. And my wife got up and went to look out of the patio door.
There's a guy out there in the parking lot rummaging, pulling door handles, trying to see if, see if cars were open so he can take whatever it is he wanted to take. And we didn't live in no shabby neighborhood where stuff like that was just occurring all the time. So this was like a real random occurrence at that point. And we hadn't been there that long either.
And so I went out and I opened the blinds and I was watching him. And sure enough, he pulled in. He got into a truck. I remember he got into a truck. And I was like, well, maybe that's his truck. So I just kind of watched him. He got out of the truck. He went to the next car, pulled the door handle. Went to the next car, pulled the door handle. That's when we decided, okay, this is not a drill. This is for real. So my wife got on the phone and she calls the police, and he finally makes it to the front of our court. And my wife was on the phone and she was literally guiding the police to try to get this guy. The funniest thing happened, like he drove his actual car from the back of the complex to the front of the complex into our court and parked and got inside of his car and just sat there. And we're like, he's in the car.
Cops
he's in the
kept
car.
going by, back and forth. Like,
and the cops kept running back and forth. And like, we kept saying, no, he's over there. And then the police would turn around and then they'll come back the other way. And he's like, no, he's right there in the car. And then the police ran like one time past the car, like right in between another car and his car, and went to the next court, and the guy pulls off and leaves the complex, and we're like, no, he's leaving the complex. Mm-hmm. But I think he end up getting caught like maybe at the front.
Yeah, they said that he was caught up at the front, and they looked in his car and saw some other stuff in there from other people.
But they did catch him, and that was just one of the wild stories
of how things move fast.
Yeah, that moved fast. And so we got married, and then we moved. Unfortunately, my wife's grandmother passed away shortly after in February. The craziest thing is we were going home to her funeral, and then my mother dies on the way home. So then we had to actually stay for my mother's funeral. And
it was a pretty long trip. And then this also speaks to, when you have a career where you hope you have enough paid time off for occurrences like this and enough money in the bank, for when occurrences like this happen. And so we're at the point now where we're trying to make sure that the situationships with our money and our career actually works for us, because at that point it really, we had we had a good boss at the time working in high school who allowed us to, take all that time off, we really didn't have it. But now, in the currents that we're in now, if it was to happen, the bosses that we have now, I don't think that would really happen to, too much. So it's just like, oh my God, this is another situation we really having to deal with that other people are probably dealing with as well, that we'll have to work through together.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't really like the term boss, but I guess we'll go with it.
Yeah. We prayed to get out the situation that we were in at the time, because we were making, I don't even, just thinking back, I just try to think of how it just had to be God, of how we were able to even afford the apartment, afford having 2 cars, having car insurance, having a child. All of that is just had to be God in order for us to be able to survive on that little bit of income that we had at that point. And right. So we kind of prayed. Remember, we went to church one time, be Courtney Macbeth's church, and he was speaking about just going ahead and just taking that leap of faith, and, just trusting God. And so one day we were at home, and I think Derrick got the idea, how about I think I asked him, what was he doing? He said, I'm about to start applying for some jobs in another state.
Yeah.
And usually, just thinking back, I'm surprised that at that point I was like, no, you not. I was kind of like, okay, cool, me too. Where you applying at? I'm going to apply too. So we applied in different states. And it's crazy because we could not get barely any interviews in the state that we were in for the same exact, positions that we're in now. The interviews that we ended up getting in this new state, we literally had, I want to say, almost 10 interviews. I feel like I had like 2 interviews a day. We were here for like almost a whole week.
Yeah.
2 interviews a day for a whole week. just going here and there, people calling and saying, hey, what's up? I mean, God really opened up that door.
Yeah, it really started with me because I got an interview and they didn't want me to come. They were just like, let's just do it over the phone. So I did it over the phone. Didn't hear back from them, but that prompted you to do some applications. So you did some applications, and then all of a sudden, I mean, I don't think it was even a week later, you got a call and said, hey, could you come down for an interview? So it was like, all right, we're going to go down for 3 days.
Mind you, we don't have no money, barely.
We didn't have any money, but I think you were in school, or I was in school, and actually I was doing,
working on your MBA, weren't you?
I was working on my MBA, but you know what happened? I was not going to coach track that season, but I said, you know what? It's only 2 months really, so I'm going to go ahead and just coach. And we used that money that came in. It was $1,400. That money that came in, we used that money to go to the interviews in another state. So we went down, and as we were going down, the phone rang, and it was another interview for my wife. And then as we traveled, another phone call, another interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, just getting so many interviews. It's like, this is great.
And we're only planning on staying so many days.
Yeah, we're only supposed to stay till like Tuesday.
How are we going to make this stretch? How are we going to make this work? Luckily, we had a family member.
Yeah, we had a family member that lived there that took us in for a day or two so that we can go to the other interviews, because we're going to stay till, I think, Tuesday. We ended up staying till Thursday and having at least 7 interviews. Mm-hmm. And I think we actually got offered before we left. We're actually looking in a furniture store, and the phone rang, and I got an offer. I think I was the first one to get an offer. Mm-hmm. And I accepted. Mm-hmm. And then the phone rang for my wife, and she got an offer. Mm-hmm.
But do you remember when we went to orientation?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It was so disappointing. Like,
yeah, we went to orientation.
It was like, what? So all this years of experience we have, we cannot use it.
Couldn't use it.
You mean to tell me we had to start back at zero?
Start from scratch.
Oh my gosh. It was like, man, should we are we really?
But it was still about $20,000 more than what we were making.
Yeah. But here's the thing that with the big door that God really opened. My resume was pretty decent. The job that I actually got offered first was not, I'm not gonna say it's beneath me. That's not really right to say, but I was overqualified. I'll say that for that position that I got accepted for. So the principal at that school actually said, hey, I see your credentials. Would you mind taking on, this other role, this other teaching position, this other role? And I was like, what? Oh my gosh. What? Yeah. I mean, a full blown, mind you, I didn't have all the credentials yet. But that goes to say, when they say God, when he opens a door, if it's for you, whether you qualified or unqualified, if it's for you, it's for you. Go ahead and take that leap of faith and go get it. It's yours. It got your name on it.
Right. So that actually took our salary up another $15,000, $15,000 to $20,000, I think. And that wasn't it. I just couldn't just stop at where I was at. I saw some other positions open, so I applied. And I called and I applied and I called, and eventually I got an interview at a high school for a teaching position. That would have put us up another $20,000. So we went from basically making pennies to almost over 6 figures in a matter of weeks. But the funny thing is, when I got the interview and I was going to the interview, my car, which was running perfect, had no issues, all of a sudden started acting up. And I literally was 15 minutes away from the school. I had to be there in the next 30 minutes. And I sat outside trying to figure out what was going on in my car for like 10 minutes. And then I had to get gas on top of that. And I was literally like, I already got a job. My wife got moved up. I'm not worried about it. I'll just stay and I'll just do this job. But something in me said, just go. Don't worry about that car. If it break down, hopefully you'll get there before it break down. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go. And I made it there like right on time, went in, And before the interview was over, the principal was basically telling me, get this thing done because you don't want that to be the thing that stops you from getting this job. And I went and got the thing done and got offered, the same day.
Just believing in whatever it is that you believe in and going with it. I think Steve Harvey has the book, Take the Leap. He kind of talks about taking a leap.
Yeah, he always talks about taking a leap.
Mm-hmm.
He'll say when it's time for you to do what you want to do or trying to get to where you're going to get to in life, sometimes you just got to take the leap. Take the leap off the cliff. He said, and you might get battered or you will get battered on the way down. You might hit the rocks. You might hit some trees on the way down. You're going to try to fly and you're not going to be able to fly, but eventually your wings are going to sprout and you're going to start to soar.
So taking that leap of faith definitely help you open doors and get to doors, whether you qualified again, whether you're unqualified. It'll help you get to the next level of whatever it is that you're trying to get to. And so for us, it was amazing. I think we found out that we were pregnant with our daughter right before then. Right after
we got those new jobs.
Yeah. So I ended up asking Derrick to ask the principal at his school, hey, well, let me come on over there because I was working with elementary school kids, but they were special needs kids. And some of them were kind of, they were nonverbal and some of them would hit and things like that. And I was like, well, I don't want to have to, put my pregnancy at risk, having to put those kids in holds and things. So I ended up going on an interview at his high school. We ended up working together for about 3 years, and it actually was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good to be able to carpool.
Yeah, carpool, commute together, save gas, and all that good stuff. So it actually worked out in our favor.
It worked out really good because our kids were going to the daycare that was right across the street from the school, so we didn't have to go anywhere. Basically, everybody went to the same place. Basically, like the daycare was in walking distance of the school, like right across the street. So it all worked out.
Yeah, it's almost like God heard us saying, man, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think that goes back. I remember another sermon from the same pastor, Courtney Macbeth, him saying, sometimes you got to be real with God. It's great to say, we always have to be grateful for the things that we have. But sometimes you just got to be real with God and just be like, man, what's up? What's going on? Like, what's going on? Are you hearing me? Are you here? What's going on? And at that point, we were kind of saying, you know what, God, we sick and tired of being sick and tired. What is going on?
Yeah, especially with two people who have the credentials that we have. Mm-hmm. Both of us have master's degrees. She has about 3 or 4 of them. I don't know, 5 or 6 of them.
What?
And now working on a doctorate. Yeah, I'm very competitive when it comes to that. So now she's making me go get a doctorate. I'm going to have to get one. If she gets a doctorate, I'm definitely going to have to go get one. Yeah. And I had spent so much time working on a master's and finally got it, getting halfway through one and finishing the other one. And so I'm just like, I'm done with school. I'm not doing it anymore. And then she's getting ready to become Dr. Harper. So I've got a match.
At this point, we're just kind of, making sure that we set our feet in stone and start working towards different goals and moving to the next level. We definitely thank God for hearing our prayers and knowing that we were sick and tired of being sick and tired and moving us here to where we are, but we have nowhere else to go but up. And so we're still trying to make leaps and bounds to the next level. So we're hoping that you actually come along on this journey with us as we talk about money, health, career, and relationships.
Right, and you don't have to go it alone, man. We're going to have lots of great tips for you. We're going to give away some free things to help you along with your journey, especially in episode 2. So, guys, stay tuned. We're definitely appreciative of the people who are listening now and who will listen in the future. We definitely need your support. Please like us, comment, subscribe, whatever we're supposed to do. If you're listening on YouTube or watching us on YouTube or listening, whatever you do, please like, comment, subscribe. Check the links in the description for our website. You can keep up with us on our website. You can also download our free things that we're going to be giving away. It's going to help you on your journey, man. If you guys are just starting out, being married, man, you're definitely talking to the right couple, man. We went through a lot of things very, very early on. And we're going to help as many as we can by putting out this podcast. And I think it's different because we've actually gone through these things, and we're not just reading books and reading other blogs and trying to just give you information. These are things that we actually went through and how we got through. And we know everything's not for everybody, but we're going to guide you in the right direction.
Join us next time, once a week, every Friday, for a new podcast from us. And hopefully we'll meet you in episode 2.
Yeah, definitely check us out on episode 2. And make sure that you be encouraged. Find out what you want to do. Keep a level head. Stay laser focused on that one thing. Get it accomplished. And let's get this money in 2020.
Hey.